Hey, this is Mark Henry, author of Dancing with Energy, Healing, Magic, and Mysticism, here to talk to you more about the occult and the paranormal. Well, today I'm going to be talking about spirit communication without trying. Before I begin, as usual, I just want to remind you all that I have an Etsy sale in my attunement store. It's 20% off. I recently went ahead and offered various new releases like the Goetic Spirit Grimoire. So if you're interested in improving divination, that would be a good spirit for that. I also offered recently the Violet Flame attunement, which is really good for ridding oneself of parasitic entities, healing work, cleansing space, all that type of stuff. So if you are interested in leveling up your life, improving your magic, and doing all sorts of cool things, then I suggest that you take a look at it, the Attunement Store, and I'll put a link in the description at the bottom. All right, so let's talk about this, spirit communication without trying. So the first understanding that we should come to is come up with a definition for spirit communication, because I've noticed that there are a lot of people who are defining things a lot of different ways, and it becomes very hard to learn and understand when you have so many people among so many different platforms that are just talking and you're like, okay, so what exactly does he mean by this? So I'm going to define spirit communication here so that everyone understands that we have a common thread. I'm defining spirit communication as the passing back and forth of information from a non-physical entity by various means, such as thought language. A lot of times when we're, for example, clairaudience, we will perceive it. And clairaudience, by the way, is the ability to hear on the spiritual level. So it wouldn't necessarily, for most people, sound like an actual voice, like one human being to another, but you're going to hear it, and it'll be like through some type of, for lack of a better term, a thought vibration. So with that being the case, as far as our definition of spirit communication, let's talk a little bit about how all this works. So first thing to understand is that we receive signals from the spirit world, or it could be you consider signals from the universe, and it comes through spirits, psychic abilities, various other things, and they're very subtle signals. They are things that if you are not paying attention, that you will definitely miss. In fact, there's a little bit of training that comes with learning how to pick up these signals. And some people, just like any type of skill, are naturally good at it. Other people, like most of us, have to kind of work on it kind of through conditioning. So with these subtle signals, all of these signals are coming in a way that can be easily missed if there is too much quote-unquote noise. So this could be actual stimulation from your environment. It could be things going on. It could be actual noise. It could be anything that's in your environment. It could also be the internal noise inside you, your thoughts, your self-dialogue, all these types of things. If you were to think of it, lump it all as a form of noise, that if you're getting the signal from non-physical entity, or if your psychic perception is picking up something even apart from that, then it has to compete with all these things either going on around you or going on into you or within you. So one has to be able to pick that up. Now they call that the signal to noise ratio, that if the noise is too high and the information is really subtle, then it's easy to miss. So when we're talking about the title of this video, which is Spirit Communication Without Trying, the actual trying is its own concept of a type of noise. Now, trying isn't necessarily a bad thing in the right context. Trying could be the initial effort that you take to complete something. And without that first initial effort, then that particular task or goal isn't going to happen. And yet, within the context of the mind, within the occult, spirit communication, this gets kind of tricky, because there's a level where you have to have the intent. Okay, so I want to pick up some information on this particular issue from a spirit or from tarot, if we're just using cards to mediate our intuition. If we're going to go ahead and do those things, then we have to make sure that we don't try too hard. So we have to have the intention to pick up something, but I consider it kind of a light intention. To try too hard, to try to force things, is its own noise, and it will actually block out a lot of the subtle signals that you're going to need to receive the information that you want to receive. In fact, it's kind of I consider it kind of a condition. It's something to minimize. This information should come to you. Sometimes it comes when you least expect it. I don't know if you've ever had that particular situation come up. And if we take it away from the realm of spirit communication or intuition, when we take it to, let's say, just the mind, then we will notice something. I don't know if you ever had the experience of having a problem. You're thinking about how to solve it, and you're like, I wonder how I can make this work or make this better. Then you go to sleep, and all of a sudden you wake up and you kind of have more flexibility in your mind, and you kind of come up with something. That's the same sort of scenario. In fact, when we're talking about sleep and we're talking about the mind, we also have to talk about the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind is the way I like to think about it is the part of us that records and stores information. And it is, in the physical sense, it's kind of the way kind of our brain works. But it has collected information from the time that we were born, and it has its own inherent wisdom in the sense that it knows us better than we know ourselves. So that is one of the reasons why we can go and try to remember things, and we could conceivably remember things, even before, 6-7 years old. I don't know if you ever had spontaneous memories come up of certain things, like maybe you'll be having an experience in your life, and all of a sudden it takes you back to like when you were really, really young. All that has been recorded and stored. Now, we could go off into other types of, discussions about memory, about how over time, the more that you remember something, a little bit distorted it gets, but you can always have the general idea of what happened. But in any case, I believe that this information that is coming through us comes through our unconscious mind. And our unconscious mind works without needing a lot of conscious effort. In fact, without any conscious effort. So to try, and to try hard especially, is using kind of our conscious mind, if you want to think of it. So I guess to wrap this all up, because I don't want to babble endlessly about this, is that if you figure that you're not getting the what you want out of your tarot or your communication with spirit, make sure that of what we're talking about is about not trying too hard or trying to take it easy. Make sure that's in place. Now, that being said, just because you have that doesn't mean that you're automatically going to get a flood of information. There are other things that one might need to work on in order to have good reception, but you need to have that in place. You do not want to muscle your way into the spirit world, so to speak, or just try to like get real tense. All of that is very counterproductive. In any case, please subscribe and like. I hope that you are having a good Easter. I'll put the link in the description for the Etsy store, and I will see you in a future video. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.